All right, all right, all right. What's up, y'all? My name is Michael Risk. I'm with Expanding Capacity. This is my first live, which I'm very excited for. I feel like I've been living in a bubble for a really long time. And what do you know? Somebody pulled up to my house just as I'm getting started. Well, life happens. Let's see. Maybe that's not for me. The timing couldn't be better. So let's see if we get anybody to pop in here. But tonight I'm going to tell you a little bit about expanding capacity. I'm going to tell you if you're having any stiffness, pain, discomfort, and you've tried everything, you've been to, you've done stretching, you've done massage, you've done chiropractic, and I am going to have to step away. So I hope that nobody is live right now. I'm so sorry. Okay, 1 sec. It's like nobody is still tuned in live yet, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about expanding capacity. So I'm myself first, obviously. So I started personal training back in 1999. I noticed very early in my career that people would get injured with very simple movements. And when somebody would get hurt, it kind of really limited what I could do as a young personal trainer. I really didn't know how to help them once they were in pain. And I imagine that's probably something that a lot of people run into. And so long story short, I started getting into massage therapy. From there, I started studying flexibility. And then fast forward 6 years, I actually became a massage therapist, had these great skills, but I really had no idea how to combine them. And so I ended up finding this fantastic mentorship in 2009 through the Gray Institute. Big shout out to Gary Gray, Dave Tiberio, all the guys over there in Adrian, Michigan. Really phenomenal program. Taught me ultimately how to think for myself. And it's afforded me a massive opportunity to be able to work with people all the way up to the pro level athletes and do some really amazing work and help people with situations that they've been unable to resolve for a really long time. So my life has kind of pivoted from there. I got into some identity-based coaching work over the course of a decade, which really helped me to kind of tackle the spiritual side of the mind and body, which was really a beautiful experience. And then from there, I came back full circle, and now I operate as a restorative movement coach. I help people who have kind of tried everything to get out of pain. They've seen a physical therapist, they've been to the chiropractor, they've been for massage, they've done stretching, they've done foam rolling, ice, heat, taping, stimming, bracing, everything, and they're still uncomfortable. And so when we keep trying all of these things and they're not working, we must ask, what is it about my approach that, I have this little phrase, results reflect approach. And so if we want a new result, we actually need to have a new approach. And so what I do with people at Expanding Capacity is actually I don't try to help them get out of pain. Now, of course, I want to help them get out of pain. But the focus is really to help them expand what their body's capable of doing in every single joint in the body. So we go all the way from the feet to the knees, the hips, the low back, the mid back, the neck, the shoulders, the elbows, and the hands. We get the whole body to work better. And so one of the things that people don't often recognize, basically because we're not taught, is that if we want to move better, the first thing we have to do is we have to start, if we want to feel better, okay, just flip that. I just gave away the answer now. If we want to feel better, the very first thing we're going to have to do is start moving better, right? And so when it comes to, when you're in pain, obviously there's a limitation of motion. Now, but that doesn't mean that your whole body can't move. That just may mean a part of the body can't move. So for instance, excuse me for a little sweat break here. So let's say somebody comes into me and they say, oh man, my shoulder's really killing me. I can't really move it. Well, the first thing I would do actually is not try to get them to move it. I recognize that their shoulders actually live on their thorax, on their rib cage, right? And so I want to see, can I get the rib cage moving a bit, right? Because it's kind of like if you were in a house and there were cracks in the walls or the ceilings, you can go and patch those, but ultimately, there's a foundational issue that's creating those symptoms. And so I would actually go to the rib cage, the place that the shoulders live on top of, like literally our shoulders live on our rib cage. And so if we want to get the shoulder to improve its function, so that we can actually start to move our arm again, we need to get the rib cage that it's attached to moving better first. Now, it's not quite as simple as that, but what I might do in that instance is have actually somebody hold on to something with the arm that's injured and start moving the other arm, right? And so this is a little bit of thinking outside of the box. So let's say if my right arm hurts, I'm going to have so much focus on getting my right arm to move better, when all the while what I really want to do is actually want to start using the arm that doesn't hurt, and I want to start to see if I can get that thing moving to start to feed motion into the shoulder that is more impacted. So why don't we actually go through an example of that? I don't know if anyone's going to see it, but it'd be good. All right. So let's say, again, here I am. I have my right shoulder hurts. And let's say it specifically hurts when I reach my arm away from my body. Okay. So what I want somebody to do is I want to have them bring their arm in close to their body to a position where it doesn't hurt. All right. Then I'd have them grab onto some surface. Okay. Now, if I have them fix the arm, what I've just done is I've created stability. All right. I've taken something that doesn't move, and it's really important to know this. If your shoulder doesn't move because it hurts, all right, pain is a protective response. It's your brain's way of creating stability. It's trying to limit motion. So one of the things we can do is we want to actually feed stability into the body. And so what I could do here is I could actually grab onto my whiteboard. Now, if I take my left arm and I opened it up this way, what you'll see is that my right arm, so I told you already, right? My arm hurts when I move it away from my body. Okay, now that's moving my arm on my body. But now if I fix my arm and then I move my other arm away from my body, you can see this injured arm also is moving away from my body. Okay, so you can see very quickly how using the other arm, the non-injured arm, can be very helpful in restoring motion to the injured side and exploring what could be going on that's keeping somebody from moving their arm. Okay, so what I'll do is actually take you through a little matrix. Let's say you get up, maybe you've been on the phone all day, maybe you've been on your cell phone, you've spent too much time in front of a screen, you get up and your shoulders kind of achy, okay? And or you just kind of feel like your shoulders are a bit rounded. We need some way to start moving the body to get things, we need to kind of get back into a flow, right? The body's not meant to stay in states of stillness, right? We need to move. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fix my right arm. I'm just going to hold on to my whiteboard here. Actually, I'll just place my hand here. Now, what you can do is you can take your other arm, and as you bring this arm down, I'll just show you from the side. I'm going to hold on with my right hand. As I bring my left arm back, that's relatively speaking, bringing this arm up overhead. Now, of course, the arm's not moving up, but it's the body moving down. Okay, and then I can go back in the other direction. So we're just going to hold on with the one side and get the other arm swinging. So we'll go hand fixed here. We go arm swing down to up, down to up, just like so. Down to up. All right, and so as I swing my left arm, my right arm fix is the one that's actually getting the majority of the movement. It's the non-moving arm. Of course, the arm is moving. It's just not initiating the movement. It's responding to something else that's moving. So the other side now, if I go here, if I fix my left hand and I swing my right arm back, you can see that's the equivalent now. If I bring this arm back, that's the equivalent of my left arm coming overhead. So for a lot of people who say, I have a hard time bringing my hands overhead, what I would actually do is fix their hand onto something and then take their other arm and drive it back. Now they've brought their arm overhead, not by bringing their arm physically up, but actually by bringing their body down. Okay, and so it's kind of like there's more than one way to skin a cat here. So probably not the best reference. Let's keep going. All right, so I'm going to fix that hand. It's going to do a little arm swing. I get the arm swinging in both directions. I'm going to go back and then up, back, and then up. Okay, again, this is really good if you've been sitting all day, right? And your shoulders are feeling a little stiff, a little achy, and you just feel like you kind of need to breathe some life into this part of your body. So we just went into one plane of motion. What I want to do next is move into another plane of motion. So I'm going to go back to my right hand fixed, all right? Now I'm going to take my other arm. I'm going to actually just start to swing it from side to side here, just like so. Right now, again, my left arm is obviously moving. But because my right arm's fixed on a surface that isn't moving, I'm actually getting a lot of motion through the shoulder joint indirectly, okay? So let's just go for a few more repetitions here. Actually feels really good. Okay, and then I'm going to switch that over. I'm going to bring my left hand is going to be fixed now, and let's just get that right arm swinging. And again, just a great way if you have a part of your body that's hurting. We often think about moving that thing directly, but you can actually fix the part that's hurting and get the rest of the body to move on the fixed part. Okay, so from here, what I want to do is I'm going to go into the last plane of motion. We move forward to back, we move side to side, and we rotate. And so now what we want to do is I'm going to fix my right hand. And what you'll see here is if I take my left arm and I swing it back, not only did my left arm open up and away from my body, but so did my right arm. So I go 1, and then I come back across the body for 2. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Just like that, nice and easy. Now I can swing this arm under my other arm. I can also swing this arm over my other arm. So we can play with the depth or the height of the movement. And now let's switch that over. Okay, so I'll just show it from here, from the side. So I'm going to go open up 1, and then I can swing the arm under, and I come back, and I can swing it over. Okay, so we can go under or over. There's this great phrase that variety builds capacity. So the more ways we do more things, the more functional we become. All right, so I'll do a few more here just with my arm fixed. And I can already feel my shoulders loosening up. This is not having to do anything forceful. We're not trying to do anything aggressive. We're not trying to make the body do something. We're just creating an environment that naturally stimulates the body in the best of ways. And one of the things I'll mention here, you're almost really never going to hear me talk about a muscle. That's because muscles are designed to control movement. I'm interested in getting you moving. All right, so we're not stretching here. We're actually focused on creating motion at a joint. Now, if we create more motion at a joint, the muscles are going to function more optimally. And if we have less motion at a joint, the muscle's also going to reduce its function. So we don't need to focus on the muscle because the muscle is just reacting to what's happening at the level of the joint. All right, and so I have this little phrase, if the joint doesn't move, function won't improve, okay? If the joint doesn't move, function won't improve, okay? We've got to get the joint moving. Actually, I'll pop over here for a little screen share. So, right, so you'll see here, this is my, by the way, this is my school. I have an online community called Expanding Capacity. This is my About page. And if you actually were to click onto the QR code in the top of the screen, top left, that would actually take you right to my About page. It's free to come in. I'll give you a little tour of what it's all about. So, but I want to draw your attention specifically to this image here, okay? And so we're not trying to chase or fix any of these problems. Tight hip flexors and hamstrings, low back pain, neck stiffness, rotator cuff pain, carpal tunnel, sciatica, shin splints, plantar fasciitis. The list goes on and on and on and on. We're not chasing symptoms. Now, I want to be very clear. I want to help you move and feel better. But the only way that you're going to feel better is if you move better, okay? And so, of course, when you're in pain, there's limitations, but that's where creativity comes in. And so what we do is say, hey, if you're having any of these symptoms, it's because the joints in your body, there are some joints in your body, what we refer to as lazy joints. Now, they're not actually lazy, it's just an analogy. But if you have a joint in your body that doesn't move well, it's going to make something else move harder and do more work than it's designed to do. And that's ultimately where your pain and stiffness tends to show up. So what you'll, if you just like, for instance, if we actually were to count up here, you'd see that there's actually 9 joint complexes that we focus on helping people expand their capacity at. So it's the feet, the knees, the hips, the low back, the mid back, the neck, the shoulders, the elbows, and the hands. Now, let's just say if we round that up to 10 for easy math, let's say each complex within the body is designed to contribute 10% of the body's collective movement for every single thing that we do. Well, let's just say now we have 2 feet, right? So each one's designed to contribute 5% to the body's ability to move well. But let's say, and I'm using myself as an example here, let's say you have somebody like me, I've sprained my right ankle 3 times. Okay, so my right ankle is not contributing in the same way that my left ankle is. So now let's say instead of contributing, it's 5%, it's only contributing 2%. And the question is, where is the other 3% coming from? And the answer is it's coming from everywhere else. Okay, it's coming from my knees, it's coming from my hips, it's coming from my low back, it's coming from my mid back, it's coming from my opposite foot. It's because the body is an interconnected chain, everything's connected to and affected by everything else. If you hurt one part of the body, it will inevitably, and I know you know this already intuitively, but when we look at the chain reaction, the body is going to work together. And that's when we start to compensate, right? So maybe you sprain your ankle, but then you realize that a few weeks later, now you're actually limping or you're just not moving quite the way that you were. It's because let's say, so I injured my right ankle specifically. Well, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, which part of the body is capable of doing right ankle work? And the answer is no part of the body. The only part of the body that is capable of doing right ankle work is the right ankle. And so the key is to restore motion back to the right ankle. And then we have to get really specific. Well, which motions? Well, we need to restore dorsiflexion at the ankle joint. We need to restore eversion at the subtalar joint. All right, now you don't need to know any of this. This is the work that I've been through, so I've already figured out some of this stuff. But we need to go back and restore it. So one of the things I like to tell my clients is, when you get injured, the most important thing to understand is, what are the motions that were compromised by way of your injury? Right? You need to know which motions did you lose. And if you don't have a way to assess that, obviously, you're going to kind of go nowhere fast. Pain is very complex. It becomes incredibly frustrating because you're seeking solutions, seeing all sorts of practitioners that are largely focused on your symptoms. But if they're focused on your symptoms, you're inevitably going to get trapped by them, right? Because you're feeding the symptom. So the symptom becomes kind of the focal point. And let's just say in this instance, I sprained my right ankle. Now my knee is killing me. All right. Now let's say all of a sudden now I'm buying a brace for my knee. I'm icing my knee. I'm taping my knee. I go to a doctor for my knee. I get an injection for my knee. All the while, the joint that's just below, the knee, the ankle is limited. And until the ankle gets restored, the knee never gets better, ever. It just doesn't. You just keep compensating. Your body follows, you're already going to know this, the path of least resistance. All right. And so if you have an ankle, if you have a bum ankle, right, it's not going to move the way it's supposed to. And now it's going to place excessive stress and strain onto your knee. Now you end up having a bum knee, but the bum knee is the response to the bum ankle. So we need to be able to restore the ankle. And so, listen, who knows to think like this? I certainly didn't. It wasn't until I had specific training that I actually learned to think this way. So in any event, I'm actually just going to go back to the community here. Let me give you a little bit of a tour here. All right. So when you come in to Expanding Capacity, and by the way, it's free to come in. Just come in, check it out. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. We have a lot of people who are in a lot of pain who are actually feeling better, much better. And so we have a community. This is where all of our members are celebrating. Then we have a classroom. Now, as soon as you come in, what you're going to see is what's called the path to relief. Okay. And so this is the path that we want to get our members on right away. All right. The first thing is we have to establish our baseline, right? We have to know our starting point and where we're at. What's our current level of function? Because if we don't define that problem first, or if we don't see where we're limited, how are we going to know what to treat? Because the last thing I would want to have you do is just do techniques for the sake of doing them. I don't want to have you foam roll your whole body. I want to have you stretch everything. I don't want your routine to be any longer than it needs to be. I'd rather it be really precise and focused to the exact joint that needs your attention. And let's restore the motion to that joint specifically. Okay, so that's the level of intention that we're operating at. And that's why our members are getting phenomenal results. So the first thing is we establish your baseline. We need to see where you're limited so we know how to help you. The second is learning about the expanding capacity method. And then the third is what we call finding your capacity gaps. Okay. And so, as I mentioned regarding the method, we're not really trying to get you out of pain. Of course, we want you to get out of pain, but our focus is on restoring your body's ability to move well. We have to move better, and then you're going to feel better. Okay. It's always worked that way. So with your capacity gaps, once you go through this as basic baseline measurement, which I'll take you through in just a moment. Actually, why don't we just skip over there? We're going to do a one-to-one session with you. We'll get on. You tell me about what's going on in your body. I'm going to listen carefully. You're going to have already done some baseline work to help me understand what your body can and can't do. We hop on a one-to-one call, and I kind of highlight what a path looks like for you, okay? So the first thing you're going to do, we come down here. You're going to establish your baseline. So I've got recorded here. Look at that guy. I've got recorded here a lunge and reach matrix. It's just going to be a way for me to assess what's happening in your body with motion, with forces coming up into your body. So when we lunge and the foot hits the ground, that's a reaction coming up into the body. But when we reach, and we're going to be reaching down, we're going to be driving motion down into the body. So we get these bottom-up forces, we get these top-down forces. All you need to know is that it's a very simple movement, and it's actually going to give us a lot of information to let us know where is your body lacking capacity, okay? That's the whole point of it. It's a short video. It takes, it's about 10 minutes with all the explanation and all, but once you do that, what you do is you just pop down here, and then you come and just log your findings. You just let everybody know what is it that you found. The most important thing is that you're actually a participant in this process, okay? So we have lots of opportunity for participation. After you establish your baseline, the next thing you're going to do is you just want to see, well, what is it about our method that's helping people? Like, why us? What's so special about what we're doing? And I'd say there's no magic, but it is kind of magical, because what we're doing ultimately is we're taking principles of human function, right? So the principles are universal truths that are true for everyone, everywhere, all the time, right? So for instance, what a principle of function is, I mentioned this earlier, the body follows the path of least resistance, okay? Everybody does that. And not only does our body follow the path of least resistance, but guess what? So does our mind, right? So if you have a habit and you've been trying to break a habit, you know it's way easier to keep doing the thing than it is to explore a constructive alternative, right? Our mind also follows the path of least resistance, okay? So it's how we do anything is how we do everything. And so there are these principles that teach us about human movement. And I have to credit the Gray Institute has been hugely helpful in helping me to understand the truth of human movement, right? How to ask the body, I can ask your body a question through movement. It gives me a response. And based on what your body says, I will then go somewhere else with another question until we get right down to the point of, okay, I need to get to your right big toe. We need to go specifically to that area, and we need to see if we can get it moving better, because that's the thing that's limiting the whole chain reaction. So it's like asking your body questions through movement until we get to the point that, we see like, okay, here's a big limitation that is, probably very likely involved in this pain pattern. But then here's the cool thing. We do a treatment. Actually, I'm going to get ahead to one of the points here. So let me go through this. The first is we don't stretch tight muscles. Okay. In fact, we don't stretch at all. We are a zero stretching program. I don't believe in stretching, and I'll tell you why. Stretching, ultimately, if you think about it, it's a protective response in the body. Okay. And the question you have to ask yourself, and this is not a trick question, is when the body's stiffening, is the body trying to create mobility or stability? Okay. And it's the body trying to create stability. It's trying to control or limit movement in an area. But what do we do when we go and stretch something? We add mobility back to that area. The body doesn't want it. The body doesn't need it. What the body needs is stability. So we need to learn how to move our bodies in a way and position ourselves in a way that creates stability at a joint. Once we restore the stability, then the mobility can then actually be restored. The second is we find the lazy joint. We find the joints that aren't contributing. And in many cases, not always, but many times, the joints that are painful are not the lazy joints. They're the joints that are doing too much work. They're doing more work than they're designed to do. That's why they're so upset. So we need to figure out what are the joints that aren't doing enough. And you need to be able to know how to ask the body questions in order to figure out that information. It's like what I said earlier. If I sprain my right ankle and now my knee is killing me, right? My knee is not the lazy joint. It's the overactive joint. My ankle has become the lazy joint by way of the injury. So we find the lazy joint, we get that baby moving. The next really big one, that's actually kind of the foundation of expanding capacity, is, having the ability to work at your threshold. Now, your threshold is when you go through a range of motion, it stops feeling easy and your body starts compensating. Okay. Now, the skill that you need to be able to develop in order to determine and detect where your threshold is body awareness. But let's be honest, we're not a very aware culture in many senses of the word, okay? Especially body awareness. We're very disconnected from our body. And you can see it with a lot of the types of exercise that we do. Like everything we do is so aggressive. There's no real connection to the body, to the glorious, phenomenal organism and machine that we're actually inside of and acting out. We need to be able to find, like, when does my body start resisting this movement? When do I start to experience limitation or hesitation? Right? It's just, it's a simple skill actually to develop. It just, you need to create the environment, but that's exactly what we do. We teach people how to become more aware of their body. And I'll say this, it might sound like an overstatement, but the foundation of expanding your capacity is enhancing body awareness, becoming more aware of what your body can and cannot do, and learning to work right at that edge. Fourth is to get answers right away. All right. So I find many times people are doing, they'll go through a treatment routine and they'll do it, religiously for a week, 2 weeks. But it's like, well, why are we still doing that if it's not helping us? And well, then the answer is for most people is like, I don't know what else to do. Fair point. Okay. But what we do at Expanding Capacity is if you have a limitation, we're going to do a test. We're going to show you how to measure the movement. Right? Because you can't measure pain. Pain's subjective, but we can measure motion. Now, if I show you how to measure emotion, we do something and we just go right back to it, and then the motion expands, and then you feel better. Then we actually we've taken a subjective experience of pain and we've made it objective. We've connected the pain to the movement. And so we make our members kind of, what would be the word? I want to say stubborn, but I don't know if that's the right word. But so I would say, hey, go see whoever it is that you're working with and just ask them, what motion are we trying to restore right now? Right? What is the movement that I'm trying to restore back to the body through this treatment? And if you don't have an answer to that, well, it's a rather vague exercise, but then a vague exercise is going to produce vague results. So you got to test, do something, retest. If it's not working, if you can't demonstrate that it's working, it's probably not going to be super helpful. All right. And then the last is to become injury proof. Now, this is a huge facet of expanding capacity where, we're doing things rather differently than many approaches. And this is not to like pat myself on the back, but if you think about it, if somebody were to hire me as a restorative movement coach, all they care about really is just getting out of pain. Totally understandable, right? Now, let's say I get you out of pain. Now you're like, well, job's done. It's like, oh, half the job is done, right? We've got you out of pain, but we haven't really built a buffer zone to make sure that you don't get back into pain and become re-injured again. And so one of the concepts that we use here, one of the principles, the truths, is that every joint needs a combination of two things to be successful. It needs mobility and it needs stability. It needs motion, it needs control of that motion. All right. So at first, what I do is I'll create a lot of stability for somebody so that the mobility can be restored. But then what I would do is start to take that stability away so that the mobility then becomes stable mobility, controlled ranges of motion. And that's how you bring somebody full circle. That's how you make them injury proof or resistant to injury. And ultimately, our goal at Expanding Capacity is self-sufficiency. I am not interested in holding on to somebody for the rest of their lives. I want to show them how their body works. I want to make them an expert. I want to give them a simple system so that they can reliably manage their own comfort and function. So once you go through and you understand the expanding capacity method, then we have capacity gaps. Okay, so you're going to schedule what's called a capacity check. We're going to hook up for a one-to-one session. I'm going to look at 3 areas. Okay, the big 3, you can already see it here. It's your feet, your hips, and your spine. Now, the reason we want to look at those parts of the body is they're what's called torque converters. They transfer energy through the body. When they're working well, the body tends to work pretty well. But if they have limitations, it's going to dish the responsibility off onto other parts of the body that are not designed to do that work. So we're going to look at the feet because they're our primary shock absorbers. Our hips being the largest muscles in the body, or you can think of like the engine, and then the spine is like the transmission, right? It's connecting the upper to the lower body. We hop on for a one-to-one call. We're going to be looking for what's called capacity gaps, right? Now, these are, one way to think about it, our analogy is like, it's like a missing tool in your toolbox, right? Like you could try to get a screw out of a Phillips head screw with a flat screwdriver, a flat head, and maybe you can do it, but you're going to struggle. But when it's your body doesn't have the specific tool it needs, meaning in this instance, the joint motion that it needs, then the motion is going to be borrowed from somewhere else, and those are the joints that end up becoming agitated. So we want to find where are these gaps in your body, and you actually already started sharing those with us at this point because you already went through and established your baseline. You did your lunge and reach matrix. We have some baseline information. We're going to know what your symptoms and your history is. We're going to start put together this story to see if we can put you on the right track. So we'll assess through these 3 parts of the body, and then we're going to connect your symptoms to the specific gaps that we find in your body, identify which of the big 3 are likely driving your discomfort. Many times it's all 3, and then give you a professional recommendation how to start moving and feeling better right away. We want to remove the guesswork. We want to find your gaps. We want to build your path. So let's do it. You book it for free. It's free to come in. It's free to get a one-to-one session. I can't possibly be more generous than that. Okay, so no one has showed up. It's okay. Maybe they did. It came in and I didn't see it. It's all good. I'm going to take this down. I just want to say, well, this is my first live, so it was good just to get this practice in, kind of get some of the nerves out, shaking the nerves out a little bit, and really get into the groove. And, I think ultimately I'll, probably end up doing these lives several days a week. I really just love and enjoy interacting with people. I love sharing this information. It's been incredibly helpful for me. I can confidently say that I really don't have any physical pain in my body. It's not that nothing ever, flares up or I never experience any discomfort. It's just I have a process for managing that keeps me relatively comfortable. So, one of the things is I sit in a chair a lot of the day, just like you, right? But I have a mechanism for reversing the effects of sitting, right? And so that's what keeps my back from going out or my knees being really stressed or something like that. So, if you happen to see this, thank you for your time and attention. I know the beginning of this was a little rough and rocky. I'm just going to keep working the kinks out, just keep showing up. And maybe next time I'll actually have somebody show up that I can interact with. All right. Thanks so much. Make it a wonderful day. And be sure you can go to, let me do this. Ready? Here's my fancy. So you can go to school.com/expanding capacity, or you can just scan that QR code. All right. So if you're obviously on a phone, you can't scan it because it's on your phone. But if you go to school.com/expanding capacity, you will find us. All right. I hope this was helpful in some way, and I hope you make it a wonderful day. Cheers. Bye.